In this series, I'm going to be talking about the Pokemon teams that I've used over the years. I'm going to be talking about why I picked those Pokemon, and keep in mind that it's been 20, 21 years. So bear that in mind as well. Now, when I was a junior or freshman in high school, yeah, freshman, ninth grade, I saw the Pokemon anime and I thought it was kind of lame, but I kept watching it because there was nothing else really on. And I saw there were games for it, and I saw there were fewer of Pokemon Blue on the shelf at Kmart, and I saw there was a lot of red, so I thought blue was the better game because everyone's buying blue. Plus, I really like that tank turtle, now known as Blastoise, that I saw, and I really like turtles, and I don't know, I didn't want to be cliche and get a dragon. Little did I know when I picked Charmander and it evolved into Charizard, I felt like maybe the reason I had so much trouble was because I went with, you know, Charizard. But my team pretty much consisted of only Charizard and then Mewtwo when I got Mewtwo because, well, they were just boss. That being said, I struggled with this game quite a bit. I made a lot of bad decisions. My Charizard knew Strength and Cut on top of Fire Blast, and I think Fire Spin. I think so. When I got Pokemon Red and I played through again, I reset Blue a couple times, and then I was able to use Red as like a means to learn. And when I played through Pokemon Blue for the second time, and used it as my main game, because I always considered Blue to be my main game of the two, I started with Charizard again, and then, of course, I had Squirtle into Blastoise, and then Bulbasaur into Venusaur. But then I figured, too, that the anime was a clue to good Pokemon, so Butterfree and then Pidgeot were also in my team. And it's not that they were bad Pokemon, and I was just, thinking that the anime was showing us all the great Pokemon to sell the games. Little did I know. Little did I know. But I didn't want to use Pikachu, so instead I looked at all the electric Pokemon, and it seemed like the best one out of all of them that I could easily get and early enough on was Jolteon. So I went with, that team. But ultimately, I had to make some changes as I went along the way, because when I did have to fight Lieutenant Surge, I did pick up a different Pokemon to use just for that battle, and then I ultimately added it to my team, and that was Sandshrew, and then it became Sandslash. And I was really happy with that Pokemon, even if I had to use TMs to teach it ground-type moves like Dig and Earthquake. Slash and Fury Swipes I did like. I forget what its final move was that I taught it, but I remember Dig was very, very useful. Remembering, though, the Elite Four, one challenge that I knew was going to be tough was going to be dealing with Lance and his Dragonite. And while Blastoise could use Blizzard, as I recalled from my battle with the rival, I decided to make one more change to my team with Articuno, who I felt was the best out of the birds. It's not. I mean, if I were to choose one now to use, I'd probably go with Moltres, but Articuno was the one, and keep in mind, these are all Pokemon that I spent a lot of time with, and that's why I consider them to be, like, my core team from Pokemon Blue. For the remakes, I had a different team, but this is just about Pokemon Blue. Now, I picked up more after the Elite Four, and, I decided to train different Pokemon to give different things a try. I felt, though, with Articuno that Ice was like a superior type to other types. Like, I felt some types were stronger or better than others for whatever reason, just based off of the attacks that they had. Because some types didn't really have many strong attacks. Like Bug with Leech Life was like the weakest one. But I picked up Alakazam. Alakazam was fun to use. With Psychic, I could just spam Psychic constantly. Nothing could stand in my way. It was kind of like using Mewtwo, but I could get up a lot of different Alakazam to use for different purposes. Plus, I like the spoons. I don't know, it's just something about the spoons. Gengar too. Ghost seemed like it was a more complex type to me at the time, and it was like, all types are the same, really, if you think about it. Like, no one type is superior, but, that Nightshade doing 100 damage was awesome. And then, Lick being able to paralyze, and then Hypnosis and Dream Eater. Oh my god! Right? And that was pretty much the Gengar set I ran for Gen 1 anyway. Kingler was the only Pokemon that knew Crab Hammer, and I really liked that. And I also liked that it had one of the highest attack scores in the game, because I was looking at the Prima Player's Guide, so therefore, I was going by like what the stats were and stuff. That was what made me pick Jolteon, because all the different things it could do. Then I added Seadra, because I wanted a Dragon type, and I could not catch a Dratini to save my life. I just couldn't. So I wanted a Dragon that I thought, because it's the Dragon Pokemon, and I got it, and it was pretty cool to use. With like, it had a lot of good water attacks. It was fast, and again, it was a very, very good Pokemon. So the next one I got was Starmie. I was really surprised by Starmie. In fact, I started training Starmie because I was reading the manga that was coming out, and it was in the comics, and it knew Thunderbolt, and I thought that was so weird. Like, why would you teach a Pokemon a move, like a type, like, move that it wouldn't normally learn? Like, in Thunderbolt, that's blasphemy. Why is a water type doing Thunderbolt? But yeah, it had Thunderbolt, and actually Psychic, Thunderbolt, Surf, and Recover was like my Starmie, and it killed. I loved it. I used it a lot in Pokemon Stadium. In fact, I consider it one of my key Pokemon. Next was Gyarados. I think everybody had Gyarados. It's like the not a dragon that everybody went to when they couldn't get a Charizard or a Dragonite. Yeah, I really liked Gyarados, and it didn't learn a lot of cool moves, but it had Dragon Rage, which seemed like it was a really powerful move, but then it got weaker and weaker. It always does 40 damage, so yeah, like Gyarados had to learn some other moves and had to learn them quick. And of course it knew Hyper Beam too, and Hyper Beam was god in Gen 1. You could like destroy most things with Hyper Beam. Lapras, I had, and I was like, well, and I did use it a little bit here and there, but once I really got into using it with, I think I had Body Slam, but definitely Ice Beam. For short, had Ice Beam, and I liked using that. And it seemed like it could take a lot of hits. Its HP was really high, and I liked it as a tank, but also, to me, it was kind of dragony, but kind of dinosaur. And I also picked it because it reminded me of one of my favorite rides from Adventure Island 3, I think. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's why I picked this Pokemon. It wasn't even because it had superior stats. It was because it reminded me of something from another game. That's exactly how I made my pick there. I'm not even kidding. Then I went with Snorlax because I remembered how hard it was to catch Snorlax, and it just seemed really cool. I figured its big body doing a body slam would inflict a lot of damage. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of thought really put into it, and I could teach it Hyper Beam, and it killed with Hyper Beam. Granted, we know now, I know now of stats and everything. Snorlax is a strong Pokemon, but back then I was looking at stats, but also looking at, do I want to use this monster? Is it cool? And yeah, I used Snorlax, and again, it seemed like it could take a lot of hits. So then finally, not even the last Pokemon I caught in Gen 1. The last Pokemon I caught in Gen 1 was a Kangaskhan. That was the last Pokemon I had to catch to fill out the Pokedex. Now, finally, I caught it. I caught the legendary Dratini, which became Dragonite eventually. And yes, it was so hard to train from Dratini to Dragonair to Dragonite. I had to keep, it was a pain. And then going through, trying to figure out which TMs I could use, what I was farming, trying to farm out of Pokemon Red. Oh my god. And yeah, so, and TMs were not reusable, so before I could decide to reset Pokemon Red, after I had properly farmed it out of all the good TMs, I had to, really work with this, but it knew Hyper Beam, and that was like the main thing Dragonite did, Hyper Beam, because it was Gen 1, and that's what a lot of newbie people did. So, with Hyper Beam, but it also, I think, mine knew Thunderbolt and Ice Beam, and it knew Dragon Rage for a time. I don't remember what I ultimately replaced it with, but yeah. Oh boy. Excuse me. But yeah, I used the Dragonite, and then it should go without saying, Mewtwo. Mewtwo is my Ice Beam, Psychic, Thunderbolt, and Recover Pokemon when it was like level 100 and more in Pokemon Stadium, or if I wanted to destroy the Elite Four and humiliate them at their own game. Yes, I can make some money off the Elite Four. Mewtwo just would kill them. And no, Mewtwo does come at level 70, but because I used it so much, I was drunk with the power of Mewtwo. So, yeah, that was my Pokemon teams from over the years, and, my Gen 1 team. And I'm kind of glad, kept playing Pokemon. I really enjoyed it. And in generations to come, all these Pokemon are Pokemon I still kind of look to see how they've improved or changed over the years. And yeah, that was my Gen 1 team. Let me know about your first generation of Pokemon, and tell me what Pokemon you used when you played Pokemon Blue, whether it be on the Virtual Console or way back on the black and white monotone Game Boy. Hit the links below to follow me on social media, and to give this video a like if you enjoyed it, subscribe to my videos, and do, support my Patreon page. Until next time.